Good evening, everyone. Sarah Christ with Connect Our Elders. I'm here to present Dean Dauphinais, the founder of All Star VETS and Native Eco Solutions. Dean, why don't you start by telling us about your background, your professional background, and some about your military background as well.
Okay, I can do that. Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank you for doing this, Sarah, and I appreciate the work that you do with our military and veteran community. It's really great stuff that you do, and I appreciate you helping me out recently with the elder Native American veteran who wants to retire. So you offering up your help with that means a lot to me. So I just wanted to thank you right out of the gates with that one. So yeah,
Thank you.
So my background, I was born and raised on the Indian reservation in central North Dakota called Spirit Lake Nation. That is a Dakota tribe, or a lot of people know it as a Sioux tribe. And then I'm also a enrolled member of a Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians, also in central North Dakota. And so I'm an enrolled member of Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians, but I was born and raised on the Spirit Lake Dakota reservation. My mom is Dakota and my dad is Chippewa. So, so I grew up on the reservation, and something you may or may not know, there's not a lot of opportunities on the reservations in terms of economics or anything like that, educational attainment, things like that. And I had parents that had high hopes and goals for us. So they urged us to do something to get out, you know. My dad, I would always encourage us to get off of the reservation and go try things, see what the world has to offer. And at the time, the military, I had a couple cousins that were Marines. And so I had a little base of which to make a decision from. I also have a brother who's in the Army. My uncle was in the Army. I have uncles that were in the Navy. So we do have a history of service in my family. But during my time, it was my cousins that were just a couple years older than me that really had the most impact on my decision-making process. So I wanted to one up my older brother. My older brother's kind of was my idol growing up. He was a national champion boxer, and he was just kind of a phenom of sorts, which you don't get. You don't produce a lot of national champions where I'm from, and he's one of the few. So he was an Army though. So I wanted to try to one up him if I could. And then my cousins that were Marines, they were saying, yeah, you go this route, you know, you'll do that. So I like that. You know? I grew up very competitive, sports and all that stuff. So, but I also want to challenge myself. I kind of always knew that there was something in me that needed to be brought out, and the way that I was living my life and everything, I wasn't able to do that myself. So I needed something. I needed something that would give me some discipline, something that gave me some direction and guidance. Oh boy,
an opportunity. It really resonates with me what you were saying about coming from an area, right, or a situation where there wasn't a lot of opportunity. I come from a super small town, and I, hands down, I know without a doubt that had it not been for the military, I would not be where I am today. So I can really appreciate the fact that you also have that.
Absolutely. You know, I got nephews and nieces coming up, and I do a lot of mentoring as well, just for kids, fellow vets, whatever the case may be. And I always say, you know, that was the single best decision that I've ever made for myself. You know, there were some decisions that were made that helped me, you know, progress and be successful in things. But that one right there, you know, my mom and dad, as much as they wanted me out of the house, they couldn't force me into the Marine Corps. You know, I had to make that conscious decision that I wanted more for myself. I had to sign. I signed when I was 17, so my parents had to sign my life away too. And so, yeah, so it was, but so I did, you know, you don't know what you're getting into until you get there. And you definitely, it doesn't matter how many stories you hear from anybody, whether it was easy, whether it was hard or whatever, it doesn't prepare you for when you're there and you're on the yellow footprints and things get real. You know, all the stories doesn't matter, you know. So that was one of the things for me, just that journey. And in that 12 weeks too, I even go back to that to break it down into that 12 weeks of boot camp that we go through. You learn everything you need to know about life and then some. And if you're really paying attention, there's some very key, great leadership nuggets and just broad lessons that you can really take in and capture if you're open to that during that process. And I just kind of ate it all up because I mean they're tough. You know, Marines are tough. Marines are disciplined. You know, they're organized. They work together. Everything's very ultra teamwork oriented. I really love that part of it because even as I grew up as a kid playing sports and stuff like that. Well, first of all, I grew up in a boxing family. Like I told you, my brother was a boxer. So I grew up following his footsteps. I wanted to be like him. So I grew up in the boxing ring, you know, so it's mano a mano there. If you don't train, there's not a running back or a wide receiver that can pick you up, you know what I mean, and carry you for a little while, or a lineman or something like that. If you don't train, well, guess what? You get your butt kicked, and you get your butt kicked in front of a crowd of people. So that taught me right away early on about the value of taking pride in what you do and really having goals to achieve. I had my brother who set the bar way up here with that national championship. I was after that for myself. I never got there. I got close. I was a nationally ranked pretty high in my division when I was a kid. And we're talking 10, 11, 12 years old, where we're in the squared circle getting after it. But that set the stage for me to be kind of always, you didn't really need to tell me what to do when I was on a team, because I understand that, you know, I know how to take initiative with things, and I can kind of see the field too. So I can kind of see where my skills might line up best to help something out. So that always carried with me into team sports as well. So in basketball, I played and I was a point guard, you know, kind of in control at the point, running things. And on defense in basketball, I was always at the front at the point, guarding the other team's best scorer. Same thing with football. I was a quarterback when I played. So I was always kind of take charge type like that. You know, growing up in the squared circle just really set the stage for me to be able to have that confidence and my abilities to step into the fore and lead when I had to. So I ate all of that up in the Marine Corps. Wow. It put that mindset that I already had, it just put it on steroids. And then on top of it, the physical training that you get, it makes you feel like you can literally run through walls. You can accomplish anything. And then you are surrounded. And the support
of your buddies, your fellow Marines, I would imagine, you know, that peer support network that you establish when you're in the Marine Corps. And so, you know, everything that you're talking about right now, it makes me, these experiences that you've had, you know, these leadership opportunities, the network that you experienced in the Marine Corps, you know, it's not far-fetched to see how you've ended up where you've ended up, the founder of All Star VETS and the founder of your new for-profit company, Native Eco Solutions. So you've talked about those experiences. Have there been other experiences that have led you to the point where you are right now?
Well, I mean, a lot of trial and error, you know, with things, just generally speaking. I mean, after I got out of the Marine Corps, everything I ever did after that, whether it was when I went back to college or whatever job I had or whatever the case may be, I kind of always just stepped into leadership positions, you know, because in my mind, whenever I'm part of a group or a team or a coalition or an effort or something like that, you know, I'm constantly like, I'm kind of gauging the field always. And sometimes, like, I'll give you an example. So when I got out of the Marine Corps, one of the first things I did is went back to North Dakota to go to college to get going, because that's what you know, at that time, that was the overwhelming direction that people were steering you towards, was towards you know, that formal bachelor degree track or something like that. And while I was doing that, so I started at a tribal college, and right away, you know, it's already a really small, think of a junior college setup, but way smaller and very, very, very community oriented. So sometimes you have 5 people in your class, you know. Okay. But, so right away, I just, you know, student government things started to come up, right? And and the advisors and things like that were like, well, hey, you're kind of fresh out of the Marines. You seem pretty motivated. And you know, you might serve well here. And I said, fine, let's do it. So I became I became the student body president, and I was afforded the opportunity at that time to serve on what's called the American Indian Higher Education Consortium. They shorten it up. They call it AHEC, which it's known throughout Indian country. And that was really good because I got to represent our small community college on a more national level. So AHEC is made up of about 35, I think, tribal colleges throughout the country. And again, think community colleges, but more small, tight knit, and very geared towards Indian country. Obviously, they're tribal colleges, but they're geared towards helping Native Americans, first of all, get involved with a track on higher education. First of all, that's the path. I think Martin Luther King said it that education is the thing that is needed to get you out of poverty, right? So
it opens up more opportunities, basically. Whether you actually end up using the degree that you went to school for or not, the fact is just checking that block off oftentimes opens up more opportunities.
Right. I mean, they would tell us in the Marines, right? You got to get that piece of paper. And that's how bluntly they would say it. You got to get the piece of paper, man. Otherwise, nobody's going to hire you, And so that's why we pursued to get degrees, because we had to get the piece of paper. It's right there. And you're right. I used it for a little while. I was into teaching for a little while, teaching and coaching on the reservation and stuff like that. So this kind of ties into what you were asking about other experiences leading me to where I'm at today with founding All-Star Vets and starting my own business. Because each of those experiences just affirmed for me what I kind of believed in myself about the ability just to, like I said, again, put my neck out there and lead things. So, coaching was good for that. I got to do coaching and mentoring. And so all of those, it wasn't any one or two things. It's the culmination of everything I've done in my professional life, which is, spanning about, post Marine Corps, 20 years now. So I've been a majority of it's been spent in education and in social work fields. And it's only since now, a year ago and some change now that I took the big leap and started my own, corporation, and incorporated with Native Eco Solutions. So, all of that culmination of experiences led me to, so that nonprofit sector work that I did, it exposed me to the whole, things like the Veterans Coalition and Veterans Association of North County, all these different really great organizations out there working for the good of our, military and veteran community. It also helped me to identify certain gaps that I saw in services, because I'm not sure if you're aware, but I worked for a place called Interfaith Community Services that's based in North County.
They are wonderful. They are absolutely wonderful. So I consulted for a nonprofit. This was several years ago. We had a pretty close relationship with Interfaith because we would provide our healthcare advocacy to the residents that they had in their program. Wonderful organization.
And that's with PAVE you're talking about, right?
Yes. So I think we may have met years ago, but I wasn't putting two and two together until I refreshed on your background.
Me being a part of the coalition. So I always say my superpower is I'm a connector, right? So I remember connecting PAVE with Interfaith. So I've done that that's the kind of stuff that I bring to the table, I guess. It's not like any kind of, I don't know. It's not terribly skillful thing to do, but it is in a way, because I'm very cognizant of what's out there and what's available. So my goals always, when I was in social work for almost 8 years serving the homeless veteran community, was how do we streamline access to services for our veterans? Because man, as a veteran myself, I had a bachelor's degree, I'm a Marine, pretty sharp in my own right, but man, is navigating the VA was a problem.
Right. So, and the thing is, I think that it is a skill, being able to connect the dots, right? Because there's a lot of resources out there. So being able to streamline the access to the resources, but also, hence with me founding Connect Our Elders, right? Obviously my focus is on the elderly population, but the same thing can go for veterans, right? There's so many resources. So if they can have a point of contact who understands the resources and educate them on the resources, and then you have to take it a step further and really provide some navigation, because even if you have a packet of information handed to you, it's oftentimes not likely that they're going to sit down and actually go through and do the paperwork, or it just becomes overwhelming. So being a connector is definitely a skill.
So that's, I do it, it almost seems like daily at some points, where I'm just, and the thing I always try to do is I look at what I do now as an extension of my service as a Marine, right? Because, I got into it for the service piece of it and the servant leadership aspects of it. So I try to live that out in anything I do, moving forward. So that, that's where All-Star Vets kind of came into play, because I saw that all the great services and the great things that we were doing for veterans. So the example I'll give you is I worked specifically in transitional housing for homeless veterans with the VA, which we had a great program. We had, while I was there and I was in management, we had some of the highest rates of success in the country, not only San Diego, in terms of our successful completions of the program, which basically entailed leaving the program with sustainable housing, affordable housing and a sustainable income. Those are kind of the big things, because how are you gonna sustain yourself when you leave a transitional program? Well, you know what I mean? You gotta have that stable housing situation, and you gotta have an income figured out. Otherwise you're gonna
to maintain the housing, right?
yeah, and you're gonna make your way back to the program again, because you don't have those foundational pieces in place. So that's what we did while they were under our care. We got that foundation back under them, and there was a lot of work into one single homeless veteran. There's a ton of work that goes in those programs. So it's not just like, hey, yeah, we'll get your disability claim and then then go get an apartment, right? Well, when you combine mental health issues and diagnosis and drugs and alcohol type of abuse and things like that, and some of them are, you combine them, it's hard to get somebody to work the program when they don't have a grasp on their sobriety. They don't have a grasp on their mental health. It's hard to ask people to do things like that. So that's why I was so fortunate to be able to get my start at Interfaith as a case manager, where I was literally sitting here across the desk from a fellow veteran and daily working a plan with them, planning out their goals and teaching them how to set goals, and being an accountability coach, and being a brother for them. Because that's what they needed. When I started, I had in my own mind, I had what I thought a homeless veteran was, right? If you don't know and you don't have any exposure, what do you think? You think, drug addicted or something like that. And you think severe mental health, right? You think the worst kind of in those ways, like, otherwise, why would they be homeless? I won't ever forget this. The first guy I sat down with, fellow veteran, and I was prepping myself for what I thought was to come. Man, I sat with this guy, and within 30 seconds, I just realized that this dude could be my uncle or a guy I served with. He reminds me of some guys that I served with and stuff like that. And then I had to switch. I had to do a whole seismic shift in my way of viewing it in order to be able to best serve these guys. So I was like, damn, this guy just needs a brother right now. So I'm going to just be a brother right now. We just bullshitted, we just bullshitted for probably 30, 45 minutes. And of course the playbook for case management sessions are, once you get them enrolled in the program and you kind of get in a groove, well, then it should be kind of a shorter duration of time when you meet with them, right? Should be a 30-minute check-in to the goals, how you tracking your appointment, boom, good, go, keep doing it then, bam, don't waste your time here, keep going. Yeah. But, I just I felt that the best way for my time spent in serving this veteran is to front load it. Let's front load that time. Let me just let this guy get it out to me. He's talking to me, so he trusts me. He's opening up on things that I'm not really trying to pry, but he's kind of going. So I'm going to roll with that. And that paid dividends for me for my approach in helping my fellow vets, because I wasn't there then trying to say, hey, this is the plan, you got to work with it, or it's my way or the highway, and you got to go. No, I was there to try.
You were being a friend. You were being a brother, right?
That's what
and so you create that safe space, and you create that trust from the get-go. And I'm sure, you being a Marine veteran, they felt a sense of comfort. But also I'm sure, having the conversation with you, a fellow service member, and being able to be open provided probably a sense of normalcy that they hadn't felt in a while, Yeah. And so that automatically created a lot of trust.
You deal with so much. Anyone that comes into those programs is coming in, they're anxious, they're nervous. Some are already super depressed, depending on where they're coming from. So, I was blessed to have that one-on-one, because then I had the light bulb moment go off. Like, well, not only should that be my approach, we should all be leading with dignity first. Just lead with dignity, and they all of a sudden they feel dignified. And when they feel dignified, they will start to actually make the steps towards building their life and repairing their life back to a place of self-sufficiency. So that's really powerful, And then, but once you break that, you build that rapport piece up front. And then that follow-up, that's that accountability coach. You get to put that hat on and say, like, hey, okay, you told me that, you want a life better than what you're in right now. And I agree with you that you should want something bigger than this for yourself. So how do we get there? Walk me through this of what you think that you would like to do, or what you can do based on your past skill sets and whatnot. And let's figure that out and how to map that out. And so, but that's also that's bonding time with them, and that's building rapport with them even deeper. And then it's so beautiful because you sometimes you can get into a rhythm where it's just you're on the same page with them. They know the expectations. You've set the expectations, which is always, a key thing. And then they do start to work the program, right? Because they just need they need somebody to help them get back in that groove. And then they kind of take the torch from there and they run with it. And it's such a beautiful thing to see somebody go from, having been street homeless for a year, 2 years, 5 years. I mean, there's so many like really kind of pitiful stories of folks that have gone through it. But to see somebody come from that, come to us for help, and us to really be able to provide that stability and help enough for somebody to go on and be self-sufficient again. I mean,
Dean, I think something that you said what you said that's pivotal for me is that you said lead with dignity, right? And so I think oftentimes so many people in that position that are homeless or struggling, whether people intend to or not, they pass their judgments, right? And people can feel that, right? And so if you could remove that, and you said that you went through that, and you said, no, I need to take a step back and just basically be their friend, lead with dignity. And it sounds to me like it's, with leading with that dignity led to them feeling self-empowered, right? And so they slowly start gaining back that confidence to be able to work the program. So I applaud you for being able to see that back during your time at Interfaith. Well, was it your time at Interfaith that led to you feeling there needed to be something new and better in the veterans community to provide networking? Or social.
Well, yeah, like I was saying there, we did great things at Interfaith with the, affordable housing, mental and physical stabilization, the basic needs, right? It's the basic needs for somebody to kind of sustain their lives and have a good base of operations to then try to, move from that and not have that burden of, living in Southern California, having $1,000 $1,500 rent, whatever it is, just like looming over you, right?
Yeah.
So we did the social work thing really well there. We just really did. I loved it there. But I also, there were things that I wished we could have done that I know would have enhanced the lives of our veterans while they're under our care. So that's and it's stuff that I love. It's, more recreational type therapy, leisure type activities, sports engagement, physical fitness, things like that. But these programs that we are a part of, they're VA funded programs. They're government programs. So they're very stringent, cookie cutter about what you can fit in the grant, It's like,
yes.
No,
fully aware.
If you didn't write you on a recreational activities coordinator in your program, well, you're gonna have to find another funding source for that because you didn't put in the grant, and we're not gonna approve it. So then we had to get kind of creative, and we had. So we did. I mean, it didn't stop me. I mean, for me, I did the case management thing for about a year and some change, and then I got promoted into program management there. That's when I really had a little bit more controls, right? I had more controls over the budget, had more controls over the program kind of, what would you say? Like the activities model, of the program? But the flavor, but the overall kind of tone of the program, for lack of a better term. Okay. And so again, so what I thought was a successful way to serve our vets, as a manager, I powered that down to the case management staff and team, right? Like, this is how we roll, guys. I know, hey, I understand you got your MSW of social work from USC, and I salute you on that, hard charger. However, if you try to come raining down on another veteran about how much book smart you are, and this isn't the protocol to do it on and whatever, from the word go, guess what's going to happen? That homeless vet's going to give you the stiff arm, giving you the Heisman. And then you're going to have a fight trying to engage with them because you want to come with the attitude of, better because you've gone to school and stuff, right? Bullshit. Like, no, trust me. Here's how you gain trust with veterans, freedom with dignity. Try that out of the gates. See where it gets you. 100% success rate. Lo and behold, when you treat people with dignity and respect, you get it back.
Right.
Wow, what a concept.
You get what you put out.
Yeah.
Completely.
So
Interfaith, and then so it was through this experience at Interfaith where you decided that something more had to be done to create social networks within our veterans population. Is that where the catalyst for All Star Vets came from, or was it after your time at Interfaith?
No, it was then. So I was 7 years into my time at Interfaith, and I was wanting for a little change myself. You know what I mean? I had gone to the top of the food chain there, so to speak, or the hierarchy in the work that I did with veterans, and I was ready I was able to gain so much knowledge from that time there. That's where I got involved with the San Diego Veterans Coalition and everything that's been going on. I just kind of immersed myself in the veterans community on behalf of Interfaith because I was taking in the knowledge and resources out there to be able to power that over to my staff, which will streamline access to services for my homeless vets that I'm really here to serve. So that time there was valuable, and it did. Yeah. So again, back to the health and wellness and fitness thing, we weren't able to do that. So as I was transitioning from Interfaith, I just said, you know what? I just kind of had that moment of like, do all the research you want. It's not out there right now. So you're just going to have to do it yourself. You're going to have to create it. So I did.
And how many years was it that you founded All Star Vets?
We are going to be 4 years on June 20th. We'll be 4 years into All Star Vets. Yeah. Congratulations.
That's right around the corner.
Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, I did. Any endeavor I try to do as much background information, research as I can. I talk to mentors. I do as much info gathering as I can and recon as I can on things before I pull the trigger, because I just, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to start one up. It's not necessarily, rocket science to start it, but if you're gonna open up anything, whatever it is. I don't care what your mission is. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and so so that's where All Star Vets was born. Essentially, was during my time at Interfaith, noticing there's a gap in a way of engaging our veteran community more often, and in things like sports, recreation, leisure activities, things like that. So of course, we try to
give the audience an example of what All Star Vets does.
Yeah, so All Star Vets definitely engages the military and veteran community in community-based sports, recreation, and leisure activities. Okay. So essentially, I left it really broad like that because I wanted to do a little trial and error, and I didn't want to pigeonhole myself into any one thing, calling it All-Star Vets, even All-Star Vets sports or something, right? Because we do things that are not necessarily sports, like stand-up paddleboard yoga, or hikes. That's not sports. So I left it very broad, and I'm happy with that decision, because we have done a variety of different things. And so we do, we've done co-ed flag football leagues with mixture of military and veterans, and we allow spouses too. We don't, if somebody's not military affiliated, honestly, if you're a patriot, you support our country, you support our veteran community, then you're always welcome to participate in anything we've got going on with All Star Vets. I try to make it as inclusive as possible, knowing that there are a lot of groups out there that are exclusive in their own ways, whether it's got to be post 9/11 or it's got to be Vietnam era veteran or whatever, right? We're just kind of trying to be as all encompassing as we can.
I appreciate that, because you're strengthening the ties between the family members, the veterans' family members, but also, maintaining the ties between the active service members and the veterans that have already transitioned. And then when you're saying, non-veterans, right? It's always important to develop those ties in our surrounding communities, especially the transitioning veterans that are getting out looking for jobs and trying to establish themselves. So I definitely think that the inclusivity is great.
And we've done a lot of that. The goal first and foremost is to get our veterans healthy. Get our veterans and active duty military either more involved or get them involved in health and wellness related activities. That's really the real goal of everything. There's secondary goals like helping vets get jobs and things like that. And we've done a lot of that. We've helped folks get out of homelessness. We've helped folks get a lot of jobs, and other types of just random help, whether it be food bags or somebody, needs a vehicle. We've helped veterans get vehicles, just whatever, that's just it's one of those things of, when you know better, you do better, but also, when you know more, you just want to, what good does it do if you don't share it with somebody who might need it? Right. Going back to what we started with, like all this knowledge, all of this, all the lists, of all the best agencies out there or whatever, it does no good if it's just sitting there collecting dust on your desk. If you don't give it to somebody, I'm not a big list guy myself anyway, but they're very helpful and they have their place. But as far as an advocate's concerned, I feel like this is my own take on it, right? Like if you're calling yourself a veterans advocate out there, then it's got to be more than providing the list.
Well, what I was saying earlier is that, obviously my focus is on the elder demographic, but I would imagine it's the same regardless of age. Typically if you give somebody a list, it's just going to go in the pile, right? But if you sit down with someone and say, here are the forms, do you want me to help you fill them out? Or, hey, do you want me to go to the VA with you, right? It's really being that friend. And so that seems to be a theme in our conversation here, is that, helping the veterans, helping the elderly, if you can take the platform of being a friend first, and then you can provide your advocacy through that.
Yeah.
So
at least being friendly, right? Because,
Well, you know what? I've struggled with that too with some of my clients, because people can get attached, right? Especially if you're there for them during a time of need. And so okay, that's definitely a better word, friendly, because it is important to maintain the boundaries, of course, too.
There you go.
Okay, so
That's a key one. Boundaries is huge.
What's that?
Okay,
Boundaries? Yeah. So you recently started a for-profit company, and I've mentioned the name a few times, but I don't even know much about Native Eco Solutions. So why don't you share with our audience what exactly Native Eco Solutions does?
Okay, so Native Eco Solutions is a for-profit corporation that I formed in January of 2019. So it's pretty new. And what I've done with that is I'm getting the business set up for government contract opportunities. That's the longer term goal and everything. But in the meantime, I've been able to have my services of project management subcontracted out to some of these state contracts that are doing solar at schools, San Diego Unified School District, for example. So I'm subcontracted to go and manage other subcontractors, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, we're like a second tier subcontractor on the San Diego Unified School District solar installation projects, and so I then sub out different trades like landscaping trades and asphalt and paving trades like that, some tree removal stuff. So I just manage all of those subcontractors for the prime contractor, essentially. And so that's been really valuable, because it really aligns with my career of doing, being in management. Is essentially that's what I'm doing. I'm managing, right? So plug me into any situation and kind of give me the lay of the land. I figure out how to manage, aspects of it or whatever the case may be. So, but that's been great because the firm that I'm working with is called GC Green, and they are a service disabled, veteran-owned small business. They are a woman-owned business. They're a minority-owned business. So in the world of government contracting, it's kind of like the trifecta, right? Because those certifications help you align with a lot of opportunities in the federal government, and so they've also had the benefit of being in business for 10 years now. That firm is owned by Elizabeth Perez, who is a Navy veteran, and she founded GC Green almost 10 years ago now. So they've got past performance under their belt, and they've got contracts coming in and things, right? And I aligned with Liz a couple of years ago, as we both are very, very passionate about helping Native American veterans out, because that's what we both are. And we know that there's a lot of help that is needed in Indian country as it concerns Native American veterans specifically. It's a very specific subset of our population. There's not a lot of us out there that have knowledge of, these programs that could help them, even VA home loans, but also, other programs and other benefits that they might not just know about, just providing out.
I was really moved because when you and I first connected, you had reached out to me about that gentleman, and then I got to learn more about you, and so I decided to do a little bit of research myself into that specific demographic. And as much as our elders in the rest of society are struggling, it's even more so in the Indian country, as you call it. And so, I find myself doing more and more research, trying to figure out different resources and ways to help the elders in the Indian country. So, and I never would have even thought of this had you not brought it to my attention.
We're not large in numbers. You don't see a lot of natives out there, out and about. You know what I mean? Even though San Diego has, quite a few tribes, they're not very populous. Some of them are 200-300 members. So you don't see a lot. You don't see a lot. Even where I'm from, it's a very small population, and I'm from North Dakota originally, population of maybe 750,000, and there's not a lot of natives there either. So you don't hear about them a lot. I said it right the first time. Enough. You don't hear about them enough. Because just don't make enough noise. You just don't have enough,
Yeah.
support, unless somebody that's non-native, that in another stature, that can move that forward, that your cause forward, right? That's how a lot
Right.
of times we get attention on things. And I gotta say, I gotta say that Native leadership in general is on the rise. There's some great leaders doing great work right now that motivates the hell out of me, because I'm on that path myself. I'm trying to do good myself in my own ways, but always in my mind trying to represent Native country, and every job I do, everybody I meet, I'm representing my tribe where I'm from, first and foremost, always, right? And then my Marine Corps, background is right there with it, to try to be representative of who I am with that. So forgot where I was going with that a little bit, but
what are some challenges you've encountered so far being a business owner? I know myself, it's exciting and it's scary all at the same time. And so I'm really interested to hear what your challenges have been.
Wow. Where do I start, and how much time do we have? Okay. Well, jeez. Yeah. When you make that decision to give it a real go of it yourself, and this is my own experience with it, because you'll find, like, I'm not going to be probably not the most intelligent guy you ever come across and everything, but what I am is a hard worker. I'm pretty tenacious. I'm pretty diligent, and the things that I can control, I try to with things. So it just the filing in the beginning, you got to come up with your name, your logo, you got to have the filing, you got to make sure the business name, URL and things like that are available, and just navigating that right away. Understanding, do I have to have a website presence? Do I have to have a social media presence? Does it all have to tie in with LinkedIn? Oh my God, make your head spin, right? It's like, Jesus. and so
with COVID, having to learn all of these new online platforms has been a big hurdle for me personally, but I'm starting to get it down.
Yeah, I'm learning. I have a website. You can check us out. So back to your question about Native Eco Solutions and anybody asking about it. NativeEcoSolutions.com is our website, and you can open up there and see what we do. But primarily, I needed to finish answering that one. Primarily, I am involved with project management related things, but we also have capabilities of doing marketing services as well. As my wife also is a big part of our business, as she has an MBA and she's been in gaming industry doing marketing for 14 plus years. Wow. And now, so we have just, that's breaking news on the Native Eco Solutions side, because it's kind of like putting our business on jet fuel, and so to speak, because my wife is in her own ways a powerhouse. She's just sharp. She's she's got her stuff together. She knows marketing. She knows the landscape out there, and she's also Native and an enrolled member of the Red Lake Band of Chippewa Indians in Minnesota.
Wow. So am I understanding that not only is she doing the marketing for Native Eco Solutions, but through Native Eco Solutions, you guys are offering outsourced marketing services? Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, the overarching theme with and mission of Native Eco Solutions is to be involved with anything eco-friendly and environmentally friendly. We're Native Americans, so one thing that is kind of universal amongst all of our tribes is that we try to be good stewards of the land that we occupy. Right? These are sacred lands that we occupy, and so there's been a lot of destruction to them. I don't know if you ever followed the Standing Rock, the Dakota Access Pipeline issue a couple years back. That might have been something that a lot of people know of, that because that did make national headlines. But what they're doing is they're trying to protect the water sources there. What's so radical about that? They want to protect the resources, but we get into these tussles with big oil or big whoever, insert the corporation, and they grease the wheels in different ways and whatnot. And all, Native people are just trying to say, stop damaging the earth.
Mm-hmm.
We may have already done irreparable damage, but can we not do this near this water source or near this sacred burial ground or whatever the case may be? And so, but that's kind of universal, that we just want to be good stewards. I grew up in the country. I appreciate it. We had to live off of our land. We raised livestock at times. We had chickens and kind of a ranch style upbringing that I've was brought up in. And so there's technology like solar power and microgrids and things like that are available now that are lessening the burden of other power sources these days. So I'm just in alignment with that. You know what I mean? That just aligns with my value system. As I was going to start my as I had to take the leap into the from the nonprofit sector into the for-profit sector, I had to find like what are the issues out there that I truly to my heart of hearts believe in, and how do I think I can contribute and help the causes. That's how I broke it down in my decision making. And so again, with not liking to be pigeonholed into any one thing, native eco solutions, right? Another kind of broad thing that could mean a lot of things.
Well, I love it because it's the umbrella, right? It's the umbrella, and then you can have all sorts of different services under it. I mean, even if you cross paths with another company, right, that's complementary or is of the same value set, they could become a subsidiary to you guys, right? There's just so much that you can do with native eco solutions. So congratulations on taking the lead. What is your strategic vision for All Star Vets? And then tell me what your strategic vision is for native eco solutions.
Okay. Yeah. All Star Vets actually is on a little bit of we put the pause button for now. I mean, COVID-19 really just did that for everybody anyway, but I need the time. I don't have the bandwidth to do everything I was doing with All Star Vets and the native eco solutions. And the priority is to be able to put food on the table for my family, and so I got to do that for the time being. And we are over the summer going to be basically pushing the reboot button. I mean, we've got some funds raised. We have a good name in the community. We're in good standing. And so it's now we're pausing and we're regrouping and reloading with our board of directors. We're going to undergo some training and things like that just to get us all on the same page and really build on the little bit of foundation that we're under right now, really to strengthen that so that we can then go expand. We want to just not in terms of like being all over the country or anything like that right now. We want to figure out our best how best to serve our San Diego community in health, wellness, sports, recreation, fitness, leisure type activities. We live in the sports, recreation, fitness, whatever else, the mecca of that. We live here. You know what I mean? We live for that. So I know it can be done. We're already doing it. We're doing some really cool things. I'll just wrap off a few things just so people get an idea of the types of things that we are and have been involved with. Our first event ever in June of 2016 was a celebrity softball challenge. So I happened to come in contact with a lady, Debbie Levine. Shout out to Debbie because she's been great to us. She works with a company called Celebrity Sweat, and Celebrity Sweat is a fitness and nutrition based company where they go and train with the celebrities and things like that, and they all talk about their nutrition tips and stuff. You got Billy Blanks and you got all these these kind of characters that you remember. But so I got in touch with her. They were doing a celebrity softball event anyway here in San Diego because the Major League Baseball All-Star game was in 2016 in San Diego as well. So their model is anywhere the Major League Baseball All-Star game is, they go to that city, and they host a celebrity softball. Pretty brilliant. The week of the build up to the Major League All-Star game.
That is really
Quite
cool.
a gig, right? So I talked to Debbie, and I was just picking her brain. I was thinking, you know, okay, you're coming to San Diego, you're Celebrity Sweat. I said, have you guys thought of any military related things to your program? National anthem, singing, you know, the color guard, anything like that? And she was like, oh shit. She was like, you're right. We are coming to, you know, not quite Military Town USA, but yeah, Military Town USA in a lot of respects. You're coming there and you're having a big event with a lot of eyes on you and stuff. You probably, you know, I said, you know, and you're doing a sporting event like that, like be a good thing. And so that's kind of how I weaseled my way in with her, really, because she was like, you're 100% right. And then she said, can you help me figure that stuff out? And I was like, bam, I'm in. So I did. I got, you know, I got a color guard. I got a national.
I said it's what I refer to as seizing the opportunities for success. Carpe omnia.
Oh, wow.
That's what you were doing.
Absolutely. So we did, and then we were able to. I helped her get umpires as well, and then we fielded a team of veterans, and they played a little exhibition against the San Diego firefighters, and that was kind of like the preliminary event leading up to the big show, which was the celebrities playing against each other. It was just awesome, you know, and the kind of stuff. It was just, yeah. I mean, Robert Horry was there, who's a 7-time NBA champion and he's just a legend. There was, oh man, don't let me draw a blank right now. There was video game. There's video game professionals there, big names. Willie Galt was there. Was it Tom Seaver? Yeah, I think it's Tom Seaver. There's just a bunch of athletes and video game and actors and things like that. And our vets loved it. They just loved it. Of course, you know, there were characters and they showed up in their silkies. So our veterans, I'm proud of that team, you know, because they really put us on the map in that way. And they represented the veteran community in a really great way. They had fun with it. They were in their silkies being goofy, you know, and just having fun and being loose with the celebrities and stuff like that too. So they got the chance to have that experience as well. And that was our launch event. And guess how much it cost me to do that?
Nothing.
Using my superpowers, the connector superpowers, right?
That's exactly what it was.
That's how we did it.
In Carpe Omnia. So we have a little bit of time left. Let's see. We have about 7 minutes, actually. I'm not going to lie, before my computer dies and I forgot to hook up the cord. But I want
okay.
I know, long day, but so what is your strategic vision for Native Eco Solutions? And for anybody, you know, listening to this video or watching it live, what are you looking for? How can we as a community support you in your success with Native Eco Solutions?
Well, right out of the gates, one of the elements that we have to the business is we have the ability to do solar on residential, commercial, government. Right out of the gates, that's a way. If people are thinking of going solar or going green in any way like that, we have all of the capabilities from, you know, building out solar, building out microgrids, and cogeneration plants, things like that. And we do a lot of surveys for homes as well to just kind of help them assess generally what kind of conservation measures can you take before even going solar, right? So that's one. Oh, I lost you. Are you still on audio? Your video went out. Uh-oh. Sarah, well, it's still rolling, so I'm going to keep going. So, okay, solar's one, but also, as you probably heard me say earlier, I'm very much getting involved with government contract opportunities. So teaming opportunities is another way. If you have a business that's, has good foundation under it, it's been doing business for a while and finances are straight and things like that, and you feel like you want to take a leap into the federal marketplace, part of our business model as well is helping to usher that process from helping you understand what it is to even be doing business with the feds, and then how do you market your what you have to the federal government. So that is the aspect, and we basically, it's government contract consulting essentially. So that is another really big aspect of our business right now and what we're doing. So, the marketing service as well, that's new since my wife is now involved with it, but digital marketing, we're heavy on the digital marketing side of things. That's kind of where everything is at these days. And so, so we're building all of the foundation and continuing to take on clients as we're building and growing and understanding needs of our clientele, and just, using our connector superpowers to, to enhance any business or individuals that we come into contact with. So thank you, Sarah. I think you're gone now, but thanks anybody who's out there listening. Appreciate you following the good work that Sarah does. And if you serve our veterans and military community, big salute for me. Okay. Dauphinais out. Thank you.